guys ready for the last match of this group? Do you guys love Starcraft? Do you guys love Starcraft? Good, so do I. The last match, PVT, great matchup. Two amazing players. First, I'll bring out someone who's been out here a lot. You've met him a lot. You know how amazing he is. I don't have to tell you. Startail Bomber. And his opponent, who is on the ropes, has to win to move on. The lovable Grubby. Good luck, have fun. And take it away.
Thank you, Jarrett. A lot rests on this final match because if Grubby wins, he's through to the next round. If not, he's out of the tournament. We all get to see it decided before our eyes right now. I am Day 9.
And I am Kyle Laris, and this is going to be one sick series indeed. Bomber, very, very strong in TVP. We already saw that going up against Minigun. All he has to do is just say, I'm just going to sit back in macro and then kill you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the style that Bomber's been busting out is this heavy mid-game style where he goes all out before you get the 3 big techs. Yep. Those being 3/3 upgrades, Colossus with range, and Psionic Storm. He hits you right before all that's up. You'll only at most have like 1.5 to 2 of them.
Yep.
We saw against Minigun Bomber even sacrificing SCVs really early in the game, so that way he had around 60, so he could have 140 food dedicated to Marines. It was insane.
Very, very much so. So Bomber here, we've already established his style. And again, you know, just going through that qualification stage, beating Real 2-1, he is a very formidable Protoss versus Terran player himself. Wasn't able to really make it through, though, as, you know, there's all these people like Grubby being able to step up to the plate as well to take those positions. And Bomber here, I think, you know, going into this group, this is one of his biggest challenges. Overcoming Grubby, who, as of late, has been practicing just so much.
Yeah, I mean, Grubby is one of the biggest practice machines out there. And, I mean, I've said this so many times that he came onto the StarCraft 2 scene as the Warcraft 3 champion, but wasn't able to put up the results. And he has just practiced his way into getting where he is. He qualified here by knocking out 2 Koreans 2 days ago. I mean, he is made absolutely clear that he is one of the top foreign players, and now he's going up against the best TVPer in Korea right now in my eyes. Bomber is just fearsome.
Yeah, so let's get this loaded up and good to go, guys. We're going to be loading up onto ESV Cloud Kingdom to kick things off here. Couldn't think of a better map.
Yeah. I mean, the style that we've seen out of Grubby on this map is this big Warp Prism plus 8 gate on 2 base. So that way, when Bomber tries to move out, sneaks right on in and just starts warping in havoc in the main base. But, again, Bomber's style is very, very flexible against that as well.
Very true. So, ladies and gentlemen, spawning up in the top right-hand corner as our Red Terran, currently in a very good position in this group, needing to beat his opponent here. Give it up for Startail Bomber.
And down in the bottom left, his tournament life on the line. If you wanted to advance on to the next round, give a cheer for Grubby. And you know, interesting fact about Grubby, he actually competed in Intel Extreme Masters Seasons 1, 2, and 3 in Warcraft 3. This is now Season 7. Grubby, one of the few players to have remarkable results across multiple different titles in his pro gaming career.
And coming into this season of the Intel Extreme Masters, Grubby, during the qualification process, was able to go relatively far, taking, in fact, 2 series of people such as Johnny Rico, who has recently joined Team Dignitas, a very, very up-and-coming rising star, but wasn't able to really kind of go the full way and had to sign up to that open bracket. But he showed his true colors, he showed his mettle, was able to prevail against a ridiculous level of talent there in that open bracket, as did Bomber. So both credit to both players.
Grubby doing a very standard opening, just going to be chrono boosting his little heart out at the start of the game. Going for that, actually no scout, that's an interesting play. The no scout generally means that you want to be getting your first zealot up. The only reason you wouldn't want to be doing that is because you're saying, I'm against Bomber, he does one thing in this matchup, he'll definitely be doing it here in game number 1.
Yeah, and if anybody ever tunes into Grubby's stream, they will know that Grubby is able to bust out literally any kind of level of aggression, any kind of level of macro or micro going into these matchups. And as you can see here, he just has the 2 guys on the gas. He's going to be going for what I would consider a very quick expand, but wait a minute, second gas going down, so probably 2, oh, actually he has 3 in 1 gas, and now he's going, Can you elaborate, Mr. Day9?
Well, it looks like what Grubby could be doing. It all depends on whether or not he cancels this zealot, and he does let it finish. So he'll more than likely be going for some kind of sentry-style play. He'll be, shifting it right on over, so that way it's 2 and 2 in each gas geyser. Yeah. This is an interesting little scout path from Grubby. It's going to allow him to sneak right by this pesky Marine and see this early expand coming up.
I was going to say, normally when I see 2 in the gas geyser, I'm thinking, okay, I've got it. I know exactly what's going on. But for just a brief moment, he put 3 in one of those gas geysers. Really threw me off just a little bit there. Thought maybe we'd see a little bit of 1 base play going on to begin with. And meanwhile, we will have Bomber just doing his standard build here, getting those staggered barracks up and running. And, you know, because of that, most Terrans get 2 barracks at exactly the same time. Ooh, but a 4th barracks, this is a little bit of a deviation.
This is really uncommon for Bomber. I mean, he is a 1 build player. Oh my God.
See what I mean?
Oh, Grubby. Oh God, Grubby's gonna fall into a huge trap. Bomber's build will perfectly deflect this push. The only way that Bomber can, or that Grubby can really hope to stay alive at this point is if this force moves out into middle map and Bomber doesn't build a bunker. If Bomber builds any number of bunkers, Grubby's going to be in a terrible condition. And this is a great timing. This is an excellent timing. It actually looks to Bomber as though Grubby's going for some sort of 3 Nexus expand play.
Yeah, the pylon is going down here, down at the bottom position for Grubby. Meanwhile, he wants to just continue to secure this watchtower, continue to keep his opponent in the dark. An engineering bay going down for Bomber in the back. That might be a little bit of an overstep in his production here. And he just dropped the scan. He only sees 1 gateway. This looks very, very normal, but he is chrono boosting that warp gate.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be an extremely tense situation. Where is the warp?
Where are the Marines going, more importantly?
The Marines are trying to sneak around. Oh, wow, Grubby. Either this is going to be an extremely nice win for Grubby, or it's going to backfire. All these Marines are going to be in the main base. And there's Grubby just marching right on up. Oh, Grubby will absolutely be able to break down the front door, but will he lose too much back home?
Yeah, those Marines are on the way now. The SCV's being pulled off the line. Oh, force field, a little overstep. He does get the second force field, catching a lot of those SCVs. Meanwhile, we'll be able to start firing down on that orbital command. And the Marines for Bomber are just they were just AFK for a second there.
Now they're moving up into the main base. Grubby is going to be in a nearly impossible situation. How do you rearrange your defenses to be able to account for this? Do you warp in? He is going to be warping in the main base. He's going to have to engage with his probes while at the same time engaging up in the main base. It's all going to come down to micro now.
Bomber's supply blocked, and he's on top of his infrastructure as well. Unicowing station, there's 19 Marines out, but is that going to be enough to shut down the aggression here of Grubby? Right now pulling all of the SCVs. He knows he's in trouble here. The Marines back at home have been able to do so much damage. Look how many probes he's killed off.
Oh my gosh, this is such a close situation, but Grubby, after he's lost so much back at home, I don't think he's going to be able to hold on. And there's the good game.
Oh, Bomber. Very nice decision making there. I mean, the Marines moving out was a little bit of a kind of look-esque play. He didn't know that that aggression was coming out across the map, but still. Using the SCVs there, knowing when to pull the SCVs, most importantly, to be able to buffer for those Marines. So once that composition ends up dying off, it doesn't really matter if you've lost too many SCVs because of the fact of how much damage you've actually done in your opponent's main.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these really painful games where if you're in Grubby's shoes, you just think things like, if only I'd had 1 probe on that back Xel'Naga watchtower. There's so many if-onlys. If only I had seen those Marines coming a little sooner. 1 warp-in round of Stalkers back home in the main destroys those instantly. And then you just continue on as a really against a no-gassing one-base Terran, a very clear, easy win. But now that means that Bomber is up 1-0 versus Grubby. Grubby a single game away from elimination.
And Grubby's got to be feeling the pressure right now. I mean, of course, Grubby is a player that has had so much tournament experience. So he knows how to deal with that kind of pressure going into these games. But, I mean, Grubby from here, he can't play... I mean, he could play risky, of course. I mean, that's always in his repertoire. But he needs to be able to stabilize here against Bomber. He needs to take this game. Otherwise, he is down and out and is no longer in the tournament.
The next map is going to be ESV Ohana. This, I personally think, is Bomber's strongest map. I have never seen him lose a game in TVP on this map.
That's true.
And I've seen over 20 games of his TVP on Ohana. I've weirdly casted him play this map a lot. And now it's the final match for Grubby, possibly. Has to get a win here on Ohana.
Countdown's done, guys. We are going to be loading up into game number 2 in just a second. You guys in the crowd, you guys are awesome.
God, those three guys,
Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to you. We dedicate this game to you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on into game number 2 here. As Bomber is currently 1 game up, we're going to be on Ohana once again. Without further ado, spawning up in the top left-hand corner, currently 1 game down as our red Protoss. He needs your support. Give it up for Grubby. That's what we like to hear.
And down in the bottom right, in my opinion, the best TVP player in the world right now, on the verge of qualifying for the next day. It is StarTails Bomber.
Bomber has looked ridiculously resilient in that series versus Minigun, and coming into this game versus Grubby here, again, this is Ohana. This is a map where Bomber has ridiculous win rates, and this is a map where Grubby is going to have to play, in my opinion, a little bit more stable, a little bit more safe, and not go for those very, very risky builds early on. That could really put him on the back foot, and I mean, even if Bomber had those other Marines back with his force, it would have still been pretty difficult for Grubby to make footway in that engagement because, again, of that 4 extra barracks that went down from the usual build of Bomber.
What's so painful to me about that build from Grubby is that it actually does have a stable follow-up on Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that there's such an open entrance, you actually always do damage to Terran, if not kill him outright. Grubby's such an unfortunate spot that managed to happen. Interestingly, Elfie and Slivko would like if Grubby took the loss here because that would put both of them through. But right now, if Grubby wins, then Grubby and Bomber will both be 3-2. The winner of Elfie and Slivko will advance, and there'll be 3 players who are 3-2. Of those, Grubby would have the most wins. So
that was a very, very well done there. How did you just work all that out right now? That was amazing.
Pow.
Pow, man.
Pow.
Super pow.
I majored in tournament conditions.
Yeah. My apologies. That's pretty good. As for now, we do have that command center on the way here for StarTails Bomber. Just a few Marines on the way as well. No doubt we'll see that staggered barracks placement in just a second as well. And Bomber having a little bit of a look around, seeing 3 guys on this initial gas. Nothing too crazy going on just yet. Initially, he did have 2 guys on gas to begin with in that game number 1, and he was able to spot that. So, but actually, forgoes the Zealots.
Yeah. He saw this expansion going down. It's absolutely a want for Protoss to have this expansion up as quickly as possible. Bomber might try to throw down this extra engineering bay, but Grubby's pretty much counting that out, especially after building this pylon. So now we will see Grubby go for the 1-gate expand, the most common framework for those Protosses early on. Now, following this, Grubby has a number of big options. It's going to largely depend on whether he takes this gas geyser now. Often, players will want to be going for a faster robo in this situation, just because early Marine aggression is so uncommon and so easy to deal with if you have the Immortal up.
And Bomber just taking all the precautions necessary to deal with any kind of thing that Grubby would throw out at him. Getting that bunker up at the front just to be able to ward off this push. And actually, that does get that SCV. Very nicely timed out there by Grubby, just for that little bit extra advantage.
Going for the 3-gate play for Grubby, that's absolutely common. I mean, there's no reason that you can really argue against getting 3 gateways. It is the safe norm. It's what allows you to deal with surprise attacks that happen at any moment. Grubby's just starting to skirt around with a Stalker, see if there's any SCD that tried to wander that way. Luckily, runs up against some Marines, and if there's one person you don't want to try to micro against, it would be Grubby.
Yep, he can be very, very strong in that micro department indeed. Warcraft 3, a heritage brought down from him there by years and years of painstaking practice and effort. And, I mean, Bomber, though, he's just so strong. Just his decision-making in this matchup and his control and macro, he gets it. He just gets how much Protoss can throw at him at every stage between the early, mid, and potentially even into that late-game period.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much... it's pretty much the safest build I've seen out of Terrans yet, the one that we're seeing from Bomber. He'll even go ahead and build a second backup bunker if he's feeling that pressure, but also it's just so elegantly timed. The fast engineering bay, the factory that's going to be popping up as well, still having a pretty fast starport with the medevacs popping out. And it's really Grubby who I'm looking to say, what is the answer going to be? With this single assimilator, this generally indicates a Twilight Council tech, because it's just enough gas to get some sort of special upgrade up, but not so much that you would need as you would if you were going double Forge or Colossus.
Drops a scan here, only seeing 3 gateways in total, as well as the mining operations at that base, and not too much information there for Bomber. And meanwhile, he's adding on his 3rd gas geyser here, as well as a 2nd bunker, just making sure he's okay. Again, you know, these bunkers, they're not really that expensive. Once that salvage comes along, of course there is that opportunity cost of, you know, how else could you be spending that money to be able to get, say, half of an extra production facility up. But you're better safe than sorry here, and Bomber always takes these precautions against the Protoss to be able to just make his way into that mid-game.
Another missile turret, another precaution. Don't know if you're going for Dark Templar tech or not, which actually could be the case. Twilight Council has just wrapped up, and given the amount of gas we're seeing out of Grubby, it looks like he's going to be going for that. Yeah, there's the Dark Shrine. No, Templar Archives.
Warp Prism. Hey, this could be interesting. I mean, he might end up poking forwards with the Warp Prism initially to, say, go for some, like, I don't know, like a Zealot drop somewhere, but against a Terran on 2 base, that seems a bit iffy. Don't you think that a Terran will be able to spread themselves across 2 base evenly enough to be able to kind of ward against that kind of play?
Well, I think what Grubby's doing is he's getting this Warp Prism out as early as he can. He's getting the Warp Prism out so that way he can deal with the earliest possible Terran move outs. This is the 8-gate style, where you get 9 gateways style now.
Hey.
So essentially,
okay, cancelled.
What we're going to see out of Grubby is he's now going to be chrono boosting this like crazy. There's the scan. He sees the formation at the front. He's going to be relying on this small number of units to just force field his way into comfort. And then, as Bomber moves out with this Marine force, it's going to be a mass warp in the main. It's a style popularized by Sase. We get this Templar Archives out, so that way we can warp in an Archon at home if we see the big push out. But there was the depth of that Observer that you really just can't afford to build a second one.
Pylon going down to the left-hand side here for Grubby to be able to go for the multi-pronged aggression if he does want to do so. Warps in some Zealots, he's getting charge out, getting some Immortals on the way. He will be able to hold this ramp with Force Field if the aggression comes on his front. But again, those Archons and Charge Lots, this is a very, very cool style that we might see here. He's even leaving a High Templar in the back just to be able to go for feedback if he needs to on medevacs.
I like that play. This is just the hardest possible situation. He needs to chrono boost out that charge. Right now, the single Stalker is being caught off guard. How's Grubby going to engage here?
Oh, he just drops 1 Marine on the high ground to be able to spot exactly what's going on. A really nice play there by Bomber. Meanwhile, those Zealots going to town in the main of Bomber. He does evacuate that location very, very nicely, though. And for now, Bomber just kind of trying to find an opening here in Grubby's defenses.
It's such an unclear maneuvering right now for Grubby. Does he focus on warping in? Bomber actually does not have that much in his main base. Bomber's going to try to swing around, open up more corrals here. Few more Zealots being warped in. Grubby's doing an excellent job not overcommitting at the front. Oh, God. Barely gets down those force fields, and Grubby accidentally walks his Archon into shooting range, and it looks like now Grubby's going to have to pull this Archon back. Oh, a big misstep right there for Bomber. Walks right into a huge trap, but Bomber still having such good aggression. There's the warp in at the main. Bomber continuing to stream up, but Grubby is barely holding.
Oh, the Bioforce, though, still very, very scary in itself.
Oh,
Just so much
Grubby!
DPS, and he's actually let them up. He doesn't have any more force fields in this composition. Warping in a few more Zealots in the base here of Bomber, but he still needs to fall back, and Grubby holding for just a little bit longer.
Grubby holding on for dear life. Trying to morph in a whole nother slew of units. There he loses the last final Archon, and there Grubby has successfully defended, is pulling out with all of these Warp Prisms, and amazingly, I can't believe Grubby is still in this game.
Yeah, for now, though, Bomber retreating back home. He's still up in terms of supply. Unit counting station, 51 SCVs right now to the 47 probes. Third card man center is in production here in order to be able to keep him going. But again, he has to be really careful with these medevacs. They're actually... Oh, no, yeah, it only has one Stalker. Never mind.
Oh, wow. Looks like Bomber's going to get completely caught nakedly here. Fortunately, there's only one Stalker for him. Now we see the Warp Prism in the main base. Bomber has continued to leave this little troop of Marine Marauder in the main base until he sees something. Oh, potentially free medevac, but Grubby actually just leaving these Templar there.
Yeah, the Warp Prism did get picked off by that Viking there, so for now we have the Mobius Rector on the way for Startail Bomber to be able to transition very, very quickly into that Ghost Tech. He really needs that out, and guess what his opponent is actually going for. Storm going to be finished up in just a little second here, though. Grubby very, very well known for his Storms and their placements therefrom. And right now, Factory spotting this third command center here, third Nexi here from Bomber. Grubby even, that was the worst sentence of all time. I'm handing over to you, Day9.
I got you, Kalaris,
Yeah.
don't worry, man. You know, Grubby is in such a difficult position. Right now, Bomber is getting up the money mix. Mostly Marines, couple of Ghosts, even has the 2 Vikings out just in case for some sort of Warp Prism play. It's going to come down to having lots of Templar and lots of vision coverage. You have to land 2 to 3 Storms, and you actually need 8 or 9 Templar to be able to do that successfully. I mean, the Ghosts can just tear everything down so swiftly. The big risk right now for Bomber is that he doesn't have a third. Grubby knows it. Grubby's going to try to step into action, but he needs to uncluster those Templar. God, Grubby uncluster the Templar, man. There's 2 Ghosts right there, and Willie gets 1, 2 feedbacks. Can he get the next few?
There's a few more Ghosts in this composition, guys, as for now, there's still a lot of Storms here for Grubby as well. So much energy on both of these units, and he does get a few Storms as well as feedbacks go down on both of these units respectively, and a few Marines actually came in from the back. There's still 4 High Templar, though, moving around with this composition. Bomber has to be very careful, but Grubby equally so.
I mean, this is the most dangerous game right now. There's a single High Templar left back at the third base. Grubby's getting quite high on the Zealot count. 29 Zealots. All he needs is actually a single well-planted Storm. We see that there, it looks like a pair of Ghosts, a trio of Ghosts. Wow, okay, there's 4 Ghosts, a quattro of Ghosts.
Yep,
Grubby's carefully spreading himself out. An EMP does land, but no real permanent damage dealt. 3 Marines also leading to try to pick off those Templar.
Just 1 Marauder stimmed up there for Bomber to be able to say, no, don't come here. As for now, nice Storm dodge. Really nice snipes there from Bomber. Taking out maybe more High Templar. Not the best of Storms there. We're only kind of tickling 2 of those Ghosts and loses more High Templar than he does Ghosts.
And there we see more Ghosts stepping into the fray. Can't afford to cloak, just has to march them on forward. Grubby not running the risk of doing any sort of counter warp in. He's warping everything back home in a defensive way. The Vikings now being some important spotters.
Uh-oh, I'm getting a little bit scared for Grubby here. 2-2 is going to be finishing up in just a second for Bomber. And if he's able to get 1 or 2 more snipes off on these few remaining High Templar, then that force might end up melting, as he's got 2 armor just about to finish here for Grubby, but no +2 weapons, importantly, being added onto this cluster.
And it looks like Grubby now continuing to spread out, getting on the high ground, the low ground. Oh, this Observer needs to stay alive. This Observer goes. There's going to be no vision coverage. A decent Storm does some damage. Another Storm lands on those Ghosts on the front, but it's still not quite enough. Any stim in, any run in is going to do massive damage. Grubby now doing the counterattack, doing some mass damage at this expansion. No more mining going on. Grubby needs to be so careful. There's 7 High Templar out on the field. They're spread out every which way.
Yeah, right now Bomber just trying to find some kind of opening. A nice storm from the high ground there to be able to tickle away at that bio once again, and does actually get a kind of little bit there. And he's actually going to push in.
Ghosts running in, taking some big hits. 10 ghosts on the map. Can Grubby get another huge storm? He gets a decent one, but he needs to land an insane storm if he wants to win this fight.
Zealots coming in, so much coverage.
Oh, that's the storm he needed. That's what Grubby needed. Grubby now finally getting the chance to advance against this Marine Marauder troop. Bomber, the TVP master, is unable to deal with the counterattack from Grubby at the third. I don't believe it on Bomber's best map, Kalaris.
Oh, wow. Grubby playing phenomenally here, just being so patient, putting those High Templars in locations that Bomber didn't necessarily consider them to be an option. And for now, Grubby going to fall back. 40 supply lead here for Grubby, as he does have 62 probes to the 54 SCVs, so that income tab looking very, very nicely in Grubby's favor in game number 2.
Still very, very tense game.
Yeah.
Very careful positioning is needed by Grubby. He can't get too overeager. 14 High Templar on the map right now. Bomber having the most fragile Terran army, 41 Marines and 5 Ghosts. He can't even really afford to do any transitioning. He's basically on one base right now, and Grubby's decided that now's the opportunity to end this match.
Yeah, he does have a very, very nice, healthy Zealot count here. Again, those High Templars, so deadly. So look at how many High Templars he has.
Look at how many medevacs are out. 13 on the map right now. No messing around from Grubby. He is charging forth. He's lost almost all the energy. What? Grubby. Oh, no. Grubby just lost all the energy on all his High Templar, getting far too overeager. What a misstep from Grubby. Bomber now absolutely wrecking everything on the map. 8 High Templar remain, but where is a single one with energy?
Oh my god, Bomber in absolute hot pursuit of this army, just ripping apart so many of those valuable units. Grubby trying to establish himself a 4th base here, getting that Robo Bay up, but will it be up in time here for the evidential counter-attack that's going to be coming from Bomber after he landed those splendid EMPs?
Oh gosh, the choke from Grubby, engaging this without having any storms in a good position. Coming from the backside with High Templar. Can he get off the storms that he needs? Does Grubby looking? It looks, some pretty good storms might be enough to save, but there's almost nothing left for Grubby. After pulling the most amazing patience game, Grubby gets way overexcited, far too overeager, and is now on the verge of losing.
Only 7 Zealots and 2 High Templars out right now against the 36 Marines coming forwards here for Startail's Bomber, as he has so many medevacs to continue the longevity of this bio force, slowly pushing forward. Even 1 Ghost just pushing forward. Nice snipes on those High Templar there once again to be able to bring those down, and he's pushing into this third to be able to demolish the infrastructure and income here of Grubby.
Oh, Bomber not gonna give Grubby an inch, knows exactly the mistake that Grubby made, and there's the good game. Oh, a disheartening final game. Grubby was in the correct position, but he waited so long. I mean, every single High Templar just stacked on top of each other.
But this comes back to the fact that Bomber so strong in TVP, despite actually being put on the back foot there, going into that kind of last 1 or 2 pushes. He's able to exploit the fact that those High Templar were so clumped up. He knows that weakness. He knows he can land those EMPs, and from there on, able to push in for that really, really nice counter.
I mean, it really goes to show you that against Bomber, even 1 misstep is all it can take. I mean, the way that Bomber just punishes so sharply for any sort of mistake, having maximum aggression at all points in time. The only time when we saw Bomber starting to retreat is when he realized that he was down by 40 supply, but the incident started to even up, right back on the aggression.
Yeah, he's going to do it. I mean, Grubby, commiserations to him, as he does now fall out of the group, I believe.
But now that does mean that Bomber will be advancing in the 1st place position, and the only thing we have left to do is to throw it on over to Tastosis, who has Elfie versus Slivko.